Hi everyone, I'm back from Margaritaville. I've been playing a lot, probably too much 10th edition. For anyone who watched my last list video, this one's like kind of similar. I really didn't change that much. I honestly thought I changed a lot more. I went through like a whole journey of like editing this list and kind of came full circle back to something I didn't realize was like pretty close to what I initially had when I started. So this is the version I think I'm the most happy with after having played 10th a lot at this point. I think I'm like probably at least like 30 games in now. The first list I had was about this. I had a beast boss instead of Mozrog. I had an extra unit of Grots. I had an extra unit of Warbikers. I think that's about it, actually. It's like identical otherwise. Then at some point I dropped the Knobs and War Boss for more boys and Beast Naga boys. And I was trying like Commandos for a while too, which was kind of lukewarm on. I think they're like fine, but for their points, there's like other stuff I'd rather have. I feel like after having played a lot now, like having more boys feels redundant and like unnecessary. After having played this event, I want to just go like crazy with list building and try and make playing competitive 40k fun for myself again and do like some wild shit. So I might try just like literally 120 boys and as many. I only own like 30 Beast Naga boys right now, but maybe I'll get some more or some sort of mass infantry along those lines and just seeing how it feels. But yeah, for the most part though, I really like this list and it did super well this weekend. And like the problem with like too much MSU is there's a couple missions that reward primary points for killing stuff. One directly does, and the other like basically does. They're missions from the GT pack. I think it's missions O and B. I don't know if you can see this. It's this deployment. Right, okay. So Purge the Foe is the first one. Purge the Foe, an important thing about this too is that you can score primary on the first turn. There's a kill one and kill more, which is rough for melee armies too, because I feel like it's often hard to get that kill turn one. My opponent, like, he made like a little bit of a misplay by moving some stuff within charge distance of me, and I was able to make some charges. It was against Eldar. A bike squad he had lived with like one wound after 2 units of Storm Boys and Warbikers charged it. Pre-wog, no wog turn one. Yeah, that if that doesn't happen, the game actually swings in my favor. So this one worked out for me better than I thought it was going to. It was a 78 to 81 point loss. It was my first loss of the event, and I feel like it really just came down to that combat. It was a pretty tough game. I mean, like Eldar obviously got a very good competitive list. He was running 2 units of 5 Wraithguard, which is interesting. Most people do like 1 unit of 10 right now. He had some like Harlequin stuff in there too. Like the Death Chester's like obvious. He's like a big staple, but he had some units of like Harlequin bikes too, which are pretty. Like I've played against them before. Charlotte from our team plays Harlequin, so I'd like practice against her in that matchup. And yeah, they're very good. They just do mortals against vehicles and stuff. But outside of that, it was like relatively standard Eldar stuff. Nothing like crazy going on. And yeah, that was a close game. And I'm really glad I had Mozrog and the War Boss and Knobs for that matchup because I just need something to be able to deal with Wraithguard. I think Mozrog died before reaching combat, but the War Boss and Knobs were able to take out one of the 5-man units. Let me see if I have photos. Actually, wait. I'll go back a little bit. Let me return to that game. I'm gonna try and like go through this in sequence and break down the list. I feel like I'm getting distracted. Purge the Foe. You can score primary on your first turn, which is weird. And if hold 1, hold more is only for turns 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it's a total of 32 potential primary points if you hold 1 and hold more every single turn of the game, which is pretty tough on turn 5. So, I mean, realistically, you're doing it for an army like this for turns 2, 3, and 4 against Eldar. I think like getting a hold 1 on turn 5 is possible. I think I did get a hold 1 on turn 5, but yeah, getting hold more on that turn against an army that's just trying to table you is like very difficult. So you have to be able to have a way to kill something every turn and just hope for a matchup where they are also not running MSU. I really don't like this mission. I feel like it takes the balance of like, oh, there's armies that can win by tailing people, and there's armies that can win by playing the mission really hard, and just makes it so like if you introduce this mission into a GT, you are like suddenly like heavily incentivized to just run a list that tables people instead of playing the mission super hard, or it just doesn't have that many units to give up for kill points, which is fine too. The list that won the event was like a Tyrannid list that had a lot of like big big bricks of stuff that felt cool. It's a tough mission though. I just feel like if you get the wrong matchup on it, it's like very, very hard to win. If your other game plan is just to like be able to score like 15 primary turn by holding stuff. And then the other mission that made me want to take more killing stuff is priority targets. So priority targets is you can score up to 10 primary per turn, and at the end of the battle you get 5 primary points for every objective that you're on, which is really tough. I think it was like harder for me than the other one, because at least like the kill one kill more against an army like Eldar, which is also running a lot of MSE right now, you can like keep up to for cadence, and at least if you're like scoring kill one most turns, you can try and beat them on secondaries. And again, it was like 78-81. It was like a relatively close game. I could have easily swung the other way, and I feel like it just did come down to luck for both of us and a couple different things. But yeah, the hold one, hold two, hold more one, I felt that there was like no way I could win that matchup going in, and I felt like I was right by the end of it. Not that like I played like perfectly, and there's not like things I could have done better. I just don't think they like ultimately make that much of a difference in the game. But yeah, in short, and also like for like kill secondaries, like one thing I want to try and get into is card counting with the tactical objectives. There's 4 kill secondaries. They are assassinate, bring it down, no prisoners, and I forget the other name right now, but it's one where you have to kill units on objectives. So that's 25% of the secondaries, which you'll have to score at some point, hopefully when it's convenient for you. And I think like having a solution for those is really, really nice. Mazrag is like easy for your opponent to score assassinate on if they really try, for most like, you know, like really good tournament lists. I mean, plenty of games my opponent just like never drew assassinate too. So I feel like adding him into the list didn't really weaken me that much, but gave me the ability to kill my opponent's units when I needed. So the trade-off of having one more thing that gives up assassinate, which is like not a lone operative that can be easily targeted, it can't be hit in the truck, was worth it for me in exchange for the killing power he provides. He also, I think his greatest strength is that he's just like a T10 guy who can be -1 to wound and takes up all the shooting that would otherwise go into trucks. Like a game against Knights that I played, that was my round 6. I'll go over this more in detail with like pictures and stuff, but yeah, my round 6 game, he was MVP. Not so much. I think he only really managed to kill like a single Armiger that was like move blocking him from reaching the target in the back that he really wanted to get, one of the big knights. But yeah, he just like soaked up so much fire while all the boys in trucks got away with the money and just like sat on objectives and were alive enough by the end of the game that I just had like a massive points lead and there wasn't that much he could do. And yeah, Venom's of Power Claws they're not as durable as I'd like. The one turn of like the 5-up influence is great, but the -1 to wound doesn't go that far once they're no longer getting a save because they don't have a fort base. And for like 325 points is the total cost of the squad, which is a bit. I would actually rather cut them than Mazrag. I really like the Fall Me Lads is great, Ancient Move is great, the ability to be infantry and go through ruins is great, but it's just so much of your army, and I wish there was like something else there that filled the same role. I can see more Squig Hogs working, but what I really wish you could do is just run like 6 units of 3 Squig Hogs, and it would be like an easy decision for me. Yeah, it's just like a very juicy, appealing target for like mortal wound spillover and all sorts of stuff. Obviously like oafs. I'm not that worried about Marines. Like good Marine players are a problem, but like Marines as a faction is like not something I'm concerned about at all. But yeah, the list still mostly functions just by like playing the mission super well, and the killing power is there for the purposes of scoring more. Like this is never trying to table your opponent. I never tabled anyone, and it never really mattered. I think out of like the 30 games I've played of like a variation of this list, I've tabled my opponent like maybe twice. Most of the time I am tabled instead, or not like, and by tabled I mean like I have a unit of grots and like a truck or 2 typically is what's left. So functionally tabled, maybe not actually, but hopefully by that point you have big enough of a points lead, but it doesn't matter. So without further ado, I'll start breaking down like individual games that I played and how those went. But that's like the list as a whole. It's like the same archetype. There's just a little bit more killing power now. The event was hosted at Margaritaville Resort, which is the best and worst part. It's the best part because it's the Jimmy Buffett themed hotel. It's the worst part because it's basically just the Holiday Inn with some very light Jimmy Buffett rebranding. This is the only photo I took of the resort. I wish I got a photo of the pool. It was sick. I think hanging out that night was like the best part of the event. Not an uncommon element of tournaments, but yeah. Here's my army. I realize a lot of people don't actually see what my army looks like. I'm gonna do like a video breakdown where I like show them all in detail. But yeah, this is them. All my trucks are fucking weird and weird irregular sizes. I have the one normal truck here that I sometimes like there's an instance where we were trying to see if a truck could fit in the Orks mirror, which is my round 5. And yeah, we took out, I think it was like this truck was trying to fit somewhere, and we replaced it with this one instead. That's how I get around that. That's how I play this game competitively and have this many trucks. Should units probably be standardized to not be this different from each other in size? Yeah, but so should most of 40k on other levels that matter a lot more. So yeah, as long as TOs still allow me to run them, I like my goofy ass trucks and how they're all like crazy different from each other. Orcs don't have STCs; they just build whatever they want, and that's the best part about playing this army. And I'm gonna keep it that way for sure. That's my hotel room. You can see that now. I'm no longer staying there. Round 1 was against Custodes. It was a pretty like casual Custodes list. It was I think his first game of 10th too. So yeah, it went really well for me. I won. I feel like against Custodes in general, you just have to make sure you always have CP for fight on death, and it makes the matchup way easier. This is another thing that like Knobs and Mazrog are great into. They really struggled to kill Mazrog, even with like the Slayer of Nightmares like +1 to wound stratagem. He's thick. He's very durable and hard for them to deal with because they're going from wounding him on 6s with my -1 back to 5s, and then he's still got that 4-up Feel No Pain and 4-up Invuln on top of that. So yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with this list into Custodes. Again, if the like it doesn't mean you like stomp Custodes every time. Like a good Custodes player could be a problem still, but yeah, it's like not one of the matchups I like worry about when I go to an event. The main matchup I actually worry about is like the missions that I mentioned earlier. Like that's like the real thing that I dread getting. And I drew Eldar for both of them. Oh, I finished 4-2. I don't know if I've mentioned that yet, which is fine. I think the reason why it feels bad is because I feel like the reasons I lost were like things I had like very little control over as a player. I feel like I can feel the lack of autonomy in this edition for like Orcs specifically as a like melee faction. There's a lot less control I have over the game as a player, and I feel like most things came down to just like luck or like I knew more about the game than my opponent. But there's like a couple games where I felt like we were like of like relatively equal skill. The Orc game being the most prominent one, but that just like sort of came down to luck, and I happened to get luckier than him on my secondary draw. Also, they have this Margaritaville themed beer, which I did like. I like that everything was branded. I wish there was even more though. Like I wish there was like a big animatronic Jimmy Buffett statue in the hotel lobby. Like I wish they gave everyone who entered like a little parrot head hat, even if it was like a mandatory $25 fee that's tacked onto your room and you don't realize it. It's like, yeah, it'd be cool. I don't know. For Margaritaville Resort, it was, yeah, it really was just mostly like the Margaritaville Marriott that they had like kind of a big pool and the bar that closes at 11. And yeah, as my friend pointed out, they don't even have blended margaritas there. They have margaritas on ice and like blended cocktails. But we did listen to Margaritaville on loop for the entirety of the 2-hour drive up, and that helped me get into the spirit anyways. I'm unironically a big Jimmy Buffett fan. I feel like most people don't realize that his lyrics are about being someone who really wants to be on vacation but is like stuck in some job they hate, or is like spending all their money above their financial means on like some trip that's like trying to like turn their whole life around. It's about working middle class depression. That's what Jimmy Buffett is actually about. Yeah, here's the Custodes game. You know, he had like a Land Raider and Dreadnoughts and stuff. He was a super nice guy. It was a fun game. It was a good way to start the day. Yeah, it was a list that, like, as he admitted, was like not what I would have ideally liked to run, and that like a lot of his units are like in storage right now that he didn't have access to. So competitively, I won't like spend that much time on this game. One thing that is great about Margaritaville is that they had the same font as my channel and the 3rd edition Warhammer 40k rulebook and most of the codexes, which is where I got my font from. Kazlan Antique. There was like Jimmy Buffett lyrics everywhere on the wall that like had this font, and that was awesome. There's many with said lyrics. I think there's, oh no, it's just the one. Okay, cool. What game is this? Oh, this is game, I think I didn't, okay, so the Eldar games, I guess I didn't get any pictures of, but I mean, yeah, it's what I said earlier. It's just like really hard to deal with them on the kill and kill more mission, and even harder to deal with them on the priority targets, right? Is that what it's called? It's the one where you score at the end of the game. Yeah, priority targets. Yeah, tough mission. I went into this event literally being like, if I don't play Eldar those rounds, then I feel really good about this event and this list. There's like no other matchup I'm really worried about, and I drew them for both. So considering I won every other game, and that was the only like real problematic one that I felt like I didn't have a great solution for, and still managed to make one a 78 to 81 point loss, I was like fine with that. I feel like 10th, there's like so much variety in armies, and I feel like certain, like most lists don't have ways to like build into everything, where you just kind of have to like build stuff and hope for the best in certain matchups and like secondary draw. I feel like God takes the wheel a lot more in 10th edition. I feel less autonomy and control as a player over the game. Partially through secondaries, but also like, you know, charging, you have to base your opponent, and like the amount of lethality is like insane, and like damage output that armies can deal, and also like units being like rock paper scissors, like having hyper specialized targets makes it harder to build a list that can like actually fight everything. Because like I don't know how you build a list without like dev wounds that can table like 300 models and also kill like knights, right? Like, which is why like Dev Wounds Immortal Spillover is like very popular and like probably one of the better archetypes of damage output to do right now. Or Eldar, where you can just like have enough of both. There's like some factions that like can have enough like anti-infantry and anti-big stuff shooting, but it's like pretty rare and hard to come by. Yeah, this was a game against demons. Ryan Mead was my opponent. He's a super nice guy. I've played against him before. We played like LVO. I don't know how this happens, but we always like run into each other at like majors and GTs. Yeah, it was a close game. He was running like Belcor, Bloodthirster, Skull Cannons were cool. What else did he have? He had another big demon that I'm forgetting. Yeah, it was just like a fun monster mash list. He played it well. I think yeah, my list can just like play primary really well, and again, like it was a hold 1, hold 2, hold 3 mission, and that's like really what I needed to win this. Oh, right, it was a knight, not a big demon. But yeah, I just kind of took the middle, tried to get a big primary lead. He was defender and was able to place this piece that in the middle, meaning I couldn't place a ruin there, which I would really want to hide all my stuff. Not having defender is pretty tough. It always has been for Orks, but I feel more so in 10th and 9th too. Like you really want a big ruin there, and to have like all your trucks parked behind and then like advance units out from this point to like other objectives throughout the game to flip them. And having to hide behind like this thing and like this ruin over here to go like to his home objective is like pretty hard to get an advance roll that could lead me over there outside of Logchain. This game was very wacky. Wait, should I rotate this? Actually, maybe it's better this way. I'll rotate this. This is actually driving me kind of crazy. This was my round 5. It was into Enrique, who was a very good Orc player. I was like impressed by him playing. He had a list that was pretty similar to mine. I think he had some Meganobs and trucks instead of Mazrog, and he had a bunch of commandos too. And outside of that, it was like largely the same. I had more trucks than him, but yeah, it just turned us into us like move blocking with our like chaff units and random bullshit that the other player couldn't really effectively kill that much, or was just like a bad trading piece. Like the Warbikes here and the Grots just like built a huge wall across the midfield. I went second, which was like great for me. I definitely wanted to go second in this matchup. That I think he caught on to earlier than me, but it really just came down to like luck and card draw. Like me going second was great, and I had like slightly better secondary draws than him. I think we finished like 61 to 70 or something, which was mostly just because like my secondaries were better than his turn 5, and that's like what settled the game. Yeah, 10th is silly. I will say, like, I love the tactical cards at first and like the mission variety, and after like 30 games I'm like getting a little tired of them. It feels bad to like win or lose games purely based on like card draw, not like anything you did as a player. Like I just feel like player skill matters like a lot less than it feels like it used to. Yeah, he was a great opponent. He like played it very well. I think this was like one of the games where I felt like my opponent was like doing everything right. Like I think we both made like small misplays, but it was like mostly okay. And yeah, really just felt like it was up to our secondary draw to like decide what happened. Yeah, I believe these shots are from turn 2 though, like his turn 2. Like I ended my turn 1 by just like moving exactly like this. Big Congo line, move lock the Squig Hogs here. Vinoblin smash a Squig with Edwapa's Kill Choppa fucks in combat. He slapped way harder than I thought he was going to. I forgot he would just always have like dev wounds and anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4-up. I want to try playing one. I think like after this event, like this list I think is still like the list I would take to any major event I was trying to win. But I feel like after this many games, I'm getting a little tired of it and want to be able to like try and do something that's like more like fun. And yeah, just playing like the mission solely, I think like gets a little exhausting for me after a while, largely because it just like often comes down to like luck and card draw, and you have a lot less certainty about your ability to play the mission, and it's fun to kill stuff in Warhammer. And yeah, playing the mission doesn't feel exactly like it used to. I think I'm like a little burnt out. Yeah, he had some boys on foot too, which he move blocked me from going up this like middle corridor with. It was just like a big standoff of like chaff units like blocking and screening. This was probably like, I think like mechanically like maybe not most like enjoyable game, but I think it was like the most interesting one to me. It's just like I feel like he was like very frustrated at some point in the game. Mostly because I think he could really feel like the lack of autonomy that like we both had too, and just like like look at this fucking board, dude. It was just like so stupid. And then yeah, like these would die, right? And then like something else would come and take their place, and then like something else would come and take their place. So we just scored like no primary for so long. Like the best we could do is like move block each other a little bit with terrain and like trucks and bullshit. This game was like psychotic in comparison to every other game that I played. Like the Orks mirror is so funny in 10th. Like it was very very weird. He was a great opponent though, and I think like it's also funny. I think he finished like 3-3. There was a lot of players at this event that like finished 3-3, and I feel like they're like players who who I've seen like win like majors previously and like do very well. But I just feel like the randomness of 40k matters so much now, and I think it's harder to go. I think it's harder to not chase them in one events. I think if you're like just running like something that's like on the upper echelons of like quality of list, it's like still like you can probably win with like a great deal of consistency. But yeah, I think 10th punishes armies that like are like a little wackier more than 9th did. Like I think it was easier to win with like weirder lists in 9th edition than it is in 10th so far, to me at least. Just feels like factions have like less options to win than they used to, and either like you're eating good and you're like one of the best like 3 or 4 armies, or you're like kind of like hanging in there as like an A tier faction and like just hoping for like good matchups and secondaries, or you're just like hoping for like 3-3 at best with like a suboptimal army. What those armies are might like shift a bit, but it feels like, because I mean like Jason McKenzie is like a very good AdMech player who was at this event. He went 5-1. And he had like a weird list of just like a million Iron Striders because they're like super durable, I guess. I mean like AdMech is famously where everybody thinks it's bad. He found something good within them. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like everything relies on like some like weird gimmick to win if it's like not one of like the top armies, and even arguably the top armies rely on like some weird gimmick to win. So yeah, I don't know. That rant over, but yeah, this game was fucking nuts, and I hope neither of us have to play it again. And then round 6 was Knights. Here are the Knights. He had like this like fun like Transformers like Autobots looking color scheme. They look like race cars. It was sick. Here's my deployment. I just kind of went on the line. This ruin counted as windowless and infinite in height. Dice Hammer was nice enough to let everyone have a terrain piece to play around towering. So I nominated this one. I had Mazragog hang out here and hoped that he would like bring some knights around to try and get shots at him, which worked, which let everything else kind of like run into them. I really only killed like I think like 3 or 4 Armingers. It's like pretty hard for this list to like interact with them. But my primary points were so high. My secondaries were like much higher than his too. That's like the way I was able to win. Yeah, like I think these guys went up here, hung out on this objective for a while. The Squighogs died. They were like targeted down immediately along with Mazrag. But Mazrag was able to kill one of them in combat. The Knobs got out of their truck, went over here. A knight overwatched them and killed like, even during Wog turn with the 5-up invuln on Overwatch, he killed like 6, I think, of the unit. At which point I probably should have just had them charge an Armiger instead, but I chose to charge his big knight, the Quistowurst. I still haven't like memorized their names. It wasn't the Castellan, I know that one, but like the like Gatling gun battle cannon guy or whatever. He's very good. We charged that one instead. And yeah, the Overwatch was immense, and I brought him down to like 13 wounds, I think, and he just lived for the rest of the game, and it wasn't very consequential. But yeah, I feel like I was still able to do well just by like overwhelming the board with stuff. That's another thing I want to like swap out this list for. Like I think this like list has a lot of play into Knights. Like I won this game and I feel like I'd be confident playing into Knights again for sure. But it's fun being able to kill them, and I feel like I can't really do that outside of log turn right now. It's like very underwhelming trying to play this game after that like first big push. And on the way back, I had a cheeseburger. Right, it's a Beyond Burger because I try not to eat meat that much. But yeah, I finally had I really wanted the cheeseburger in paradise based on the song. They did have a cheeseburger in paradise themed menu option, to be fair, but I feel like the menu branding at Margaritaville was like less so than the restaurants at Universal City Walk, which I like much more. This is all I actually want to talk about. I really want to just talk about Margaritaville. Fuck, I wish I had pictures of the pool. I can just find one on Google. I want to show you guys. I also managed to win Best Painted, which I was really shocked and humbled and honored by. There's some like insanely well painted armies there. Like I know like I don't want to be like, oh, I'm such a bad painter. Like no, like I know I'm like a good miniature painter, but like there was some like good armies there. So I was really like happy that I won that award and was like pretty surprised. Like when they called third and second, I thought there was like no chance I was gonna get first. But yeah, it was a big surprise and very proud moment for me. I can show you. Dice Hammer for their trophies. They give out these like one of one like pint glasses, which I think is cute. It's very much like their brand, and there's some custom dice inside. And I got this Palm Springs Open tray and a bunch of Army Painter stuff too, which I mostly already have. But I have friends who I'm trying to get into the hobby and like painting that I'll probably give this to. And shit's expensive. It's like crazy, like trying to show someone like how to get into Warhammer and like realizing how expensive this game is the first time you like get into it. This is the pool, which I wish I got to spend more time at. The pool does. I mean, I think these are like. These feel like photoshopped in or like touched up. Like this text doesn't look right. This feels like imposed. The parrots are here, like real parrots here too, which is weird. They were like much more clearly statues, but this is like it's pretty close to how it felt. I think there was a real parrot stuck suspended in motion with its wings like this, positioned above the pool. For anyone who's debating getting into Warhammer and going to majors, just know that like the best part of any actual event is not the games. It's like hanging out with everyone by the pool or whatever the pool equivalent is after the event. That was the best part for sure. We were at a table right here that we had dragged over from like there. The bar closed at like 11, which kind of sucked, but it was fun hanging out there until then. And I think people were like swimming in the pool like an hour past close too. I don't know. I do like that Margaritaville feels like it's run kind of loose like a Jimmy Buffett song would be. Like all the employees there are just as like unenthused as employees in Jimmy Buffett songs are described as being. So I don't know how the Jimmy Buffett brand is doing in 2023. I noticed the Spotify listener count is kind of down. Anyways, you're here to hear about Warhammer, not Margaritaville, so I'll go back to talking about that. Yeah, so looking forward to the future. I want to try and run like more Squig Hogs, because I think they're a fun unit. Mazrog was great. I might throw in a normal Beast Boss on Squigosaur there too. And I want to have at least one Knob on Smash a Squig with Edwapus Kill Choppa in there. I might do a Squig off too. Only being able to make one thing -1 to wound per turn though makes him and Mazrog kind of fight for the same spot. But it'd be fun to just go like full Squig and see how that goes. I was talking to Steven, who I think is the captain of Team USA, or he's like their coach or something. I don't know what his role is, but yeah, he's from Xenos Petting Zoo, which is like the biggest, maybe arguably only real like team in Southern California that goes to these like events and competes at like a high competitive level. And yeah, he was talking about like an all orc warbike army that he wants to do, and that made me remember why like we get into this game to begin with, which is not to just like look at data sheets and closely analyze them as abstract numbers, but is to do things like build a orc army where everybody's riding like a Harley and has like a custom made leather jacket with like a different like embroidered name on the back. And it just sounded like so sick and funny, and it makes me want to care about Warhammer that way again too. So I also want to start playing factions outside of orcs. I think I take orcs very seriously as a competitive player, and I also think when people see me play orcs, they expect me to play in like a certain competitive way. So I want to like break it up and like try and take some like very like thoroughly like meme build lists to take to events, because I think like that's the only thing that can make like 10th really fun for me at tournaments right now. I think I just like need to take it less seriously and have like a different attitude towards the game if I want to keep playing at tournaments and enjoying it throughout 10th edition. So I wanna do like a poll. If you want to sound off in the YouTube comments, go for it. But I think like in an attempt to like actually monetize my channel in some form more, because I currently like don't try and push that super hard on Patreon, I'm gonna make a post and a poll that like if you have ideas for an army you'd like to see me run, comment there, and I'll like decide one that I want to play with and build in the future. So I'm thinking of like I'll probably post a few, but like I feel like realistically I could too. I'd have people like decide amongst those, but if you have like an idea for a different one, like feel free to pitch that too, and I might choose it. My friend who I went to this event with and I might have like a Warhound Titan off where we build like different Warhound Titan armies and try and play with those. I think it'd be sick to do like a Chaos Knight Warhound Titan to go with my Chaos Knights. I don't own any, but I've always loved Great and Clean ones. I think like emotionally they're sort of like orcs, right? They're just like big, gross orcs. Running 3 of those would be cool. I know they're like relatively competitive, but I think like if it was like fully memeing into like 3, it'd be more fun. With an orcs, I mean like the easiest one for me to do would probably just be like infinite boys and see how that goes. So I'm gonna like, yeah, if you have ideas, like I want to start building stuff, list that like take to RTTs, but also like at LVO this year I might just go like crazy and try to run a list like that too. I'd like Nova I'm going to this summer. Maybe I'll try and build something like that for Nova. I don't really know. I love going to Warhammer events and playing in tournaments, but I feel like 10th has made it clear that like they're trying to like lower the player skill ceiling. I think it's just like trying to be more random. It does feel like the Mario Partyification of 40k for sure. Items have been turned on. If we're playing in wacky random world, I want to like embrace that and just like try and have fun with this game, because I do really like painting little guys, even if playing with them in tournaments is sometimes frustrating and less like chess than I would like it to be. Yeah, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know. I don't always get to respond to everybody, but if you have like a weird work list or whatever, like feel free to like DM me on Instagram and I'll try and get back to you. And yeah, join our Discord too. We talk about Warhammer in there. It's mostly a community of people who paint, but yeah, there's definitely like list discussion and stuff that goes on. So yeah, thanks for coming by, and I'm gonna do another painting video after this one. So if you're here for painting, stay tuned for that. Thank you very much. Take care.